Hi, my name is Jacob Zeiss. I am going to go over the downstream effects of COVID-19 on HRM with y'all. So, really quick, a brief table of contents so you know what y'all are getting yourselves into. First, we're going to go over an industry overview, then a brief timeline of the events up until about mid-March. Following that, we'll have some human resources strategies, then what should be done to improve training for people and staff. After that, we're going to go over the government regulations and effects on HR, and then how some of the unique aspects of the hospitality industry, what happens with them in relation to COVID-19, and finally a works cited page. So to start at an industry overview, 2020 has been a year. This is the worst year in hospitality history since the 1930s. It's ridiculous. 8 out of 10 rooms are going unsold across the world. It is about 9 times worse than 9/11, like 50% revenue decline, over $124 billion have been lost. On top of that, 70% of hotel employees have been laid off or furloughed or fired or whatever it has, which leads to about 1.6 million hotel employees out of work, and about a little less than 4 million total hospitality-supported jobs that just can't function at the moment. A brief timeline events of the COVID pandemic. The timeline that we found is a little bit focused at the early sides, and we're going to go a little bit past that as well with a few key dates. So the first patient was detected on December 6th, 2019. Sorry, December 8th, my bad, I misread that. On December 31st, Wuhan Municipal Health in China reported a few clusters of pneumonia cases. Following that, the World Health Organization published their first disease outbreak news on January 5th, 2020. On March 11th, it was declared a pandemic by the World Health Organization, and on March 17th, 2020, Las Vegas ordered a shutdown of all of the casinos, bars, restaurants, and canceled all conventions, conferences, and sporting events for the next indefinite amount of time. Obviously, they've all reopened, but it's still weird. So some new employee training that can be done to prepare employees for COVID-19 are happening online and in person. It's focused mainly on hand washing training, social distancing training, proper use of PPE, and how to clean stuff properly to ensure the safety of both the staff and the guests. AHLA, which is the American Hotel and Lodging Association, is creating their Precautions for Hotels certificate. It's about a 15-minute course. ServSafe is also doing a very similar thing for restaurants, which takes about 10 to 13 minutes. And the Baccarat Hotel in New York City created an entire new position, a Director of Environmental Health and Safety, whose job is to focus on reintegrating retained employees with training apps and providing them additional training to help make safety. Treasure Island also provides their staff with both the CDC and World Health Organization literature and some in-person training as well. So the government regulations and their effects on HR, number one is to implement sick leave and make that blanket over all companies and industries and everything. They don't want people coming to work sick. If you're sick, you should stay home. And Treasure Island exemplifies that with a very, very comprehensive stay-at-home if sick policy. On top of that, as we previously covered, training employees in proper COVID-19 related precautions, be that cleaning or PPE or honestly anything to ensure the safety of guests and staff. Now, some of the unique aspects to hospitality and how they relate to how they relate to COVID-19 in HR is intangibility, perishability, interdependency, sales volatility, and labor intensity. Those are the major pieces of hospitality that make it unique from other industries. As with COVID, it is difficult to be face-to-face with people at the moment, so it's hard to create an intangible product for people to enjoy. As for perishability, since more and more rooms are not being sold, they are perishing and it's just wasted inventory. As COVID spreads person to person, it's difficult to have the same level of interdependency between departments as before. Sales volatility goes a little bit together with perishability, as rooms aren't being sold. And while there are a lot less rooms available, since a lot of companies are laying people off, the staff must take extra precautions to make sure everything is cleaned and sanitized. The employees who are retained are expected to do more and more work for less and less people. Now, a few underlying factors for employee retention and termination in hospitality are, number one, to avoid layoffs. It instills some loyalties among your staff. It shows care for your employees, and it provides additional support for them and their families. Unfortunately, it does significantly increase your labor costs, may require some salary cuts, and honestly might bankrupt the company. Another strategy to keep in mind as a human resource manager is to lay people off. It gives you the opportunity to reorganize and restructure your workforce and change your workforce to increase gives you the opportunity to restructure your workforce and identify the core staff you need to keep like a very efficient ship running. Unfortunately, laying off people can cause a bad reputation. Retraining is very expensive, and that can also significantly increase your labor costs. That is about all I have, actually. Following that, here are a few works cited pages. Thank you very much for your time.